Before we start, hit that subscribe button. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. North Atlantic, June 1977. 8 SEALs on reconnaissance. We found a boat, 20 feet long, 6-man crew, rowing, perfect rhythm, perfect synchronization. We waved. They didn't wave back, because they'd been dead for 3 days, but they were still rowing. You ever see a corpse move? Not twitch, not spasm. Move, deliberately, rhythmically, performing a task. Like muscle memory survived death, like the body forgot it stopped living. We did. And one of us never stopped rowing after that. My name is Lieutenant Commander Richard Hayes. I'm 69 years old. I live in Virginia Beach. I don't go near water anymore. Don't go near boats. Don't go near anything that has oars or rhythm or the possibility of repetition. Because I know what happens when you touch someone who's stuck. When you try to help someone who's been rowing for too long. When you break the rhythm. This was June 1977. Cold War. Height of tensions. We were running surveillance operations in the North Atlantic, watching Soviet activity, monitoring shipping lanes. The usual SEAL work. Quiet, professional, dangerous in ways the public never heard about. I was 32, Lieutenant Commander, team leader, 7 men under my command. Good men. The kind who follow orders without question and improvise when orders aren't enough. The kind who trust you with their lives because you've already trusted them with yours. 8 of us went out that morning. 7 came back. And the one who didn't come back is still out there. Still rowing, still moving, still caught in something we didn't understand and couldn't stop. June 14th, 1977. Cold morning. North Atlantic cold. The kind that gets into your bones and stays. We launched at 0500. Zodiac boat. Black. Silent. 8 SEALs. Full kit. We were doing a simple recon. Check a coordinate. Verify activity. Report back. 4-hour mission. In and out. The sea was calm. Glassy. You could see forever. Horizon line sharp and clear. Sky meeting water in a perfect seam. Beautiful. Peaceful. The kind of morning that makes you forget the ocean wants you dead. Target area 2 clicks ahead, Petty Officer First Class Marcus Webb said. He was navigating. Best I'd ever worked with. Could find coordinates in his sleep. Never missed. Never got lost. Should have visual in 10 minutes. Copy that, I said. Eyes open. Report anything unusual. We were looking for Soviet submarines. Specifically, looking for evidence they were operating closer to NATO waters than they were supposed to. Political game. Cat and mouse. We watched them. They watched us. Nobody shot. Nobody died. Unless something went wrong. My team was solid. Webb on navigation. Petty Officer Second Class Danny Torres on communications. Petty Officer Second Class Kevin Brown on weapons. Petty Officer Third Class Chris Martinez on medical. Petty Officer Third Class Jake Sullivan on engineering. Petty Officer Third Class Ryan Foster on demolitions. And Seaman David Pierce. 23. New guy. First real mission. Eager. Capable. Wanted to prove himself. Contact, Webb said. His voice had that edge, that tone you get when something's not right, but you can't explain why. Vessel ahead. Small. Looks adrift. I pulled out binoculars, scanned the water. Cold morning light, glassy surface, perfect visibility. And there, maybe 500 meters ahead, a boat, wooden, old style, rowboat, 6 oars, 6 figures. And they were moving, rowing, in perfect unison. Civilian vessel? Torres asked. He was already on the radio, ready to report. Looks like it, I said. Kept watching through the binoculars. Something was wrong. I couldn't identify what, but something. But what's a rowboat doing 50 miles from shore in North Atlantic waters? Fishermen? Martinez suggested. He was the optimist, always had an explanation, always found the reasonable answer. Wrong kind of boat, Brown said. Fishermen use motorboats, trawlers, long liners, not fucking rowboats. Those went out of style 100 years ago. Maybe they're in distress, Pierce said. Young, eager, wanting to help. Engine failed, using oars as backup. We should assist. In the middle of the Atlantic? Sullivan said. That's not backup. That's suicide. They'd never make shore. Current's wrong. Wind's wrong. They're rowing against everything. Maybe they're not trying to reach shore, Foster said quietly. He was looking through his own binoculars, studying the boat. Maybe they're rowing to maintain position, staying in one spot, waiting for rescue. Then why not signal? Webb asked. Why not wave? Why not acknowledge us? They have to see us by now. He was right. We were visible. Black Zodiac. 8 armed men. U.S. Navy. Impossible to miss. Any civilian in distress would be signaling frantically, waving, shouting, something. These men weren't. Just rowing, same rhythm, same motion, like we weren't there. Like nothing else existed except the oars and the water and the endless repetition of pulling. We check it out, I said. Standard procedure. Approach. Assess. Render aid if needed. Stay alert. Something feels off. Agreed, Webb said. Hull looks wrong. Too old, too weathered. That boat shouldn't be seaworthy. We moved closer, slowly. Engines on low, making minimal noise. The boat came into sharper focus. 20 feet long. Wooden. Hand-built. Clinker construction. Overlapping planks. Iron rivets. The kind of craftsmanship you only see in maritime museums, or in history books about age of sail. The wood was old, weathered, sun-bleached in places, water-dark in others, covered in barnacles below the waterline, covered in salt above. This boat had been in the water for a long time. Not hours, not days, months maybe, longer. And the crew. 6 men. All rowing. Perfect rhythm. Oars moving together like they were connected by invisible strings. Splash, pull, lift, forward. Splash, pull, lift, forward. Mechanical, precise, inhuman in its perfection. Why aren't they stopping? Foster asked. His voice had gone quiet, concerned. They have to see us by now. We're close enough to hear their oars. He was right. We were close, maybe 100 meters, close enough to see individual faces, close enough to count the men, close enough to see they were wearing strange clothes. Old clothes. Canvas shirts, wool pants, cloth caps. The kind of working-class sailor wear from the 1800s. Not modern, not even close. And they weren't looking at us. Their heads were down. Faces pointed at their laps, eyes fixed on nothing, just rowing, just pulling, just repeating the motion over and over in a loop that didn't acknowledge reality beyond the boat. Something's wrong, Webb said again. This time his voice carried more weight, more certainty. I don't like this, Commander. Neither do I said. Torres, try to hail them. Torres keyed his radio, switched to civilian emergency frequencies. Unidentified vessel. This is U.S. Navy. Please acknowledge. Do you require assistance? Over. Nothing. The boat kept moving. The crew kept rowing. Splash, pull, lift, forward. The rhythm didn't change, didn't pause, didn't acknowledge that anyone had spoken. Unidentified vessel, this is U.S. Navy on open channel. If you can hear us, please signal. Wave your arms. Stop rowing. Acknowledge this transmission. Over. Nothing. Just oars. Just water. Just the endless splash and pull and lift and forward. the mechanical perfection of motion without thought, without awareness, without life. "They're not responding," Torres said. Unnecessary. We could all see, could all hear, could all feel the wrongness growing with every meter we closed. "Maybe they don't have a radio," Martinez suggested. Still trying to find the normal explanation. Still trying to make this make sense. "Then they'd signal visually," Brown said. He'd unholstered his sidearm. Not aimed, just ready, just prepared for whatever came next. "They'd wave, stand up, something. They're ignoring us, deliberately." "Or they can't respond," Sullivan said. "Medical emergency, poisoning, carbon monoxide, something that incapacitated them but left motor function intact." "Can't be," Martinez said. "Carbon monoxide would make you sleepy, disoriented. You wouldn't keep rowing. You'd collapse. You'd stop." We closed to 50 meters. The boat was moving steady, not fast but consistent, maybe 2 knots. The crew rowed with mechanical precision. 6 men, all similar build, all similar age, all wearing those strange old clothes that looked like they'd been at sea for decades. Not years. Decades. "Commander," Webb said. His voice had changed, gone from concerned to frightened. "I don't think those men are okay. I don't think they're alive." "What do you mean?" I asked. But I was already raising my binoculars, already focusing on the crew, already seeing what Webb had seen. The faces were wrong, not injured wrong, not sick wrong, dead wrong, gray skin, not healthy gray, corpse gray, the gray of meat that's been sitting too long, of bodies that stopped circulating blood days ago, skin sunken against skulls, eyes open but filmed over, cloudy, opaque, not seeing, not focusing, just open because nobody had closed them, because dead eyes stay open until someone shuts them, and nobody had shut these. Mouths hung slack, lips pulled back from teeth, gums receded, expressions frozen in the middle of nothing, not pain, not fear, not determination, just empty, just vacant, just the last expression worn before death took over and expression stopped mattering, and they were still rowing, still moving, still performing their task despite being empty shells, despite being corpses, despite having no business moving at all. "Jesus Christ," I whispered. "Sir?" Pierce asked, young, confused, not understanding yet. "They're dead," I said. "The crew, they're all dead." "That's impossible," Sullivan said flatly. "Dead people don't row boats. Dead people don't do anything. They're dead." "Look for yourself." I handed him the binoculars. He did, raised them to his eyes, adjusted focus, looked at the crew, at their faces, at their skin, at the obvious, undeniable death sitting in that boat and rowing like death meant nothing. "Fuck!" Sullivan said. Then louder, "Fuck!" "Sir, what the fuck are we looking at?" "I don't know," I said. My voice sounded too calm, too controlled, like my brain had decided this was just another problem to solve instead of something that broke every rule I knew about how the world worked. We closed to 30 meters, close enough to see details, close enough to see too much, close enough to wish we'd stayed back, stayed away, stayed in our lane and let whatever this was drift by without investigation. The crew's skin wasn't just gray, it was mottled, patched, sections of lighter gray mixed with darker, decomposition happening in stages, in layers, some parts rotting faster than others, patches where the skin had pulled back from bone, where muscle showed through, where the human form was coming apart but still holding together enough to row, to pull, to perform. Their clothes were soaked, not with water, with something else, something that had seeped from their bodies, something dark and wrong that stained the fabric and dripped onto the boat's floor and collected in small pools around their feet. Decay juice, body fluid, the liquids that leak when flesh breaks down and has nowhere to go. And they were still rowing, still moving, arms extending, pulling back, bodies swaying forward, bodies swaying back, the oars dipping, the oars lifting, an endless cycle, a perpetual loop, a motion that had been going for longer than any living person could sustain, longer than made sense, longer than should be possible. "This is wrong," Foster said, stating the obvious, voicing what we all felt. "This is very fucking wrong." "How long you think they've been like that?" Martinez asked, his medical training kicking in, trying to assess, trying to diagnose, trying to apply science to something that had no scientific explanation. "I don't know," I said. "Days, maybe. Maybe longer." 3 days, Webb said. He was the detail guy, the one who noticed things others missed. He pointed at the waterline. "Look at the barnacles, the growth pattern, marine life. That boat's been in the water at least 3 days, probably longer. And look at the bodies. That's 3-day decomposition, maybe 4, maybe 5. Hard to tell in cold water, but definitely multiple days." "And they've been rowing the whole time?" Torres asked. "For 3 fucking days? Without stopping? Without resting? Without dying properly?" "Looks like it," Webb said. "That's impossible," Brown said. "Bodies don't work that way. You die, you stop. Muscles relax. Rigor mortis sets in. Then you relax again. But you don't keep moving. You don't keep performing tasks. You don't keep rowing like nothing happened." "Unless something else is moving them," Foster said. "Parasites, fungus, something that takes over motor function, like those ants in the rainforest. The fungus that makes them climb and bite and die in specific positions." "That's ants," Martinez said. "Not humans. Human nervous systems don't work like that. We're too complex, too big. You can't puppet a human body. Not without massive technology, not without something we'd be able to see." But we couldn't see anything. Just 6 dead men. Just 6 corpses. Just 6 impossible things rowing a boat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean like death was just a minor inconvenience instead of the end of all motion, the end of all function, the end of everything. "We need to board," I said. "Sir?" Brown said. "You want to get on that boat? With them?" "We need to know what this is," I said. "Document it. Figure out what happened. This is our job." "Our job is reconnaissance," Sullivan said. "This is—" "I don't know what this is, but it's not reconnaissance." "It's 6 dead men rowing a boat," I said. "That's unusual enough to investigate. Webb, bring us alongside. Careful, don't touch the boat until we're ready." Webb maneuvered the Zodiac, brought us parallel to the rowboat, 10 feet away, close enough to see everything, close enough to smell. And God, the smell. Death, rot, salt, old wood. Something else. Something sweet and wrong. The smell of things that should have stopped days ago but didn't. The crew kept rowing, never broke rhythm, never acknowledged us, just rowed. Splash, pull, lift, splash, pull, lift, forever. "Torres, Pierce, you're with me," I said. "We board, we investigate, everyone else covers us. If anything happens, if those things move wrong, you pull us out, clear?" "Clear," they said, but their voices said they didn't like it. I grabbed the side of the rowboat. The wood was cold, wet, wrong, like touching something that had been underwater too long, like touching something dead. I pulled myself up, climbed in. The boat rocked. The crew didn't stop, didn't react, just kept rowing. I was standing 2 feet from them, and they didn't acknowledge me, didn't see me, didn't care, just rowed. Torres and Pierce climbed in after me. We stood there, 3 seals in a boat with 6 corpses. 6 corpses that were moving, that were working, that were performing a task with more dedication than most living people could manage. "Check them," I said. "See if they're really dead." Martinez approached the nearest rower, a man, maybe 40 when he died. Now he was gray and rotting and still moving. Martinez reached out, touched the man's neck, checking for a pulse. The man didn't react, didn't stop, just kept rowing. Martinez held his fingers there, counting, waiting, then pulled back. "No pulse," Martinez said. "No breathing, no signs of life. He's dead, completely dead, but he's still moving." "How?" Pierce asked. "I don't know." I moved to the front of the boat, looked at the crew, really looked, tried to see what was making them move, tried to see strings, wires, mechanisms, something that explained this, some trick, some technology, some answer. Nothing. Just dead men rowing, just bodies that had forgotten to stop, just muscle and bone performing a task on repeat. Forever. "Commander," Torres said. He was looking at something in the boat, a logbook, waterlogged, falling apart, but readable. He held it up. "I found this." I took it, opened carefully. The pages were damp, the ink run, but I could make out words, dates, entries. The last entry was 3 days ago, June 11th, 1977. "Day 3, still rowing, can't stop. Tried to stop. Hands won't let go of oars, arms keep moving. It's in us now. Whatever's in the water, whatever we drank, it won't let us stop, won't let us rest. We're going to die here, going to die rowing. And I think we'll keep rowing after. I think whatever this is, it doesn't stop at death. It goes deeper, makes you part of the motion, part of the rhythm, part of the sea. Forever rowing, forever moving, forever stuck. Don't drink the water. Don't touch what's in the barrels. Don't." The entry ended, unfinished, like the writer had died mid-sentence, like the rowing had taken over before he could finish warning us. "What water?" Pierce asked. "What barrels?" I looked around the boat. In the center, 3 wooden barrels, sealed, old. I approached one, pulled the lid off. Inside, water, clear, clean-looking. But wrong. Something about it was wrong. The way it moved. Too thick, too slow, like syrup, like something alive. "Don't touch that," Martinez said. "Don't touch anything." "Agreed," I said. I replaced the lid, stepped back. That's when Pierce touched one of the rowers, the man in the back. Pierce reached out, put his hand on the man's shoulder, trying to get his attention, trying to make him stop, trying to help. "Pierce, don't," I started. Too late. The moment Pierce's hand made contact, the rower's head turned, looked at him. Empty eyes, dead eyes, but seeing somehow. Seeing Pierce, seeing fresh meat, seeing something it could add to the rhythm. And Pierce's hand stuck, couldn't pull away, couldn't let go, like his hand had bonded to the corpse, like the skin had fused, like whatever was in the boat had grabbed him and wouldn't release. "Pierce!" Torres grabbed him, tried to pull him back. Pierce's arm stretched. His hand stayed glued to the corpse. His face went white, then gray, then something else. "I can't let go," Pierce said. His voice was different, flat, empty. "It's pulling me in. It's in me. I can feel it, moving through my arm, into my chest, into my brain. It's telling me to row, telling me to join them, telling me to take a place, to complete the crew, to make it 7, to add rhythm, to—" "Pull him!" I shouted. Brown and Sullivan grabbed Pierce, all three of us pulling, trying to break the connection, trying to free him. Pierce screamed, but not pain, frustration, like we were interrupting something, like we were breaking something important. His body started moving, started swaying, started matching the rhythm of the rowers, left, right, pull, release. His free hand reached for an oar, trying to grab it, trying to join, trying to become part of the boat. "Cut his hand!" Brown shouted. "Cut it off if you have to!" Martinez pulled his knife, moved toward Pierce's arm. But before he could cut, Pierce's hand released. Just released. Like whatever had grabbed him had decided he wasn't ready yet, wasn't dead enough yet, wasn't suited for the rhythm. We pulled him back, dragged him to the Zodiac, got him out of the rowboat, away from the corpses, away from the rhythm, away from whatever lived in that water and that wood and those dead bodies. Pierce was shaking, convulsing. His eyes rolled back, foam at his mouth. Torres held him, kept him from falling overboard, kept him from drowning, kept him from going back to the rowboat. "Get us out of here!" I shouted. "Now! Now!" Webb hit the throttle. The Zodiac surged forward, away from the rowboat, away from the dead crew, away from whatever horror we'd found floating in the North Atlantic. Behind us, the rowboat continued. The crew kept rowing. Splash, pull, lift. Splash, pull, lift. Forever. Eternal. A loop that didn't end, that couldn't end, that would continue until the boat rotted, until the bodies disintegrated, until the ocean finally claimed what was already dead but refused to stop. We made it back to base. Pierce was unconscious, breathing shallow, pulse weak. We got him to medical. They couldn't find anything wrong. No injuries, no toxins, no explanation. He was just stuck, frozen, caught between states. He woke up 3 days later, June 17th, exactly 3 days after he'd touched the rower, exactly the same amount of time the crew had been dead. Like whatever was in that boat measured time in 3-day cycles. Like it needed 3 days to decide if you were suitable, if you could join the rhythm. Pierce was different, quiet, distant. His hands kept moving, left, right, pull, release, like he was rowing, like he couldn't stop. The doctors said it was psychosomatic. Trauma response. Give it time. He'll recover. He didn't. We tried to report what we'd found, tried to tell command about the rowboat, about the dead crew, about the water, about what happened to Pierce. They didn't believe us, said we'd suffered collective hallucination, stress, cold water exposure, something, anything except the truth. They sent another team to find the boat. Coordinates we'd marked, GPS location, everything. The team found nothing. No boat, no bodies, no evidence anything had been there. Just empty ocean. Just water. Just the Atlantic being the Atlantic. But we knew. 8 of us had seen it. 8 of us had been there. 8 of us knew that boat was real. That those corpses were rowing. That whatever lived in that water was still out there. Still waiting. Still calling to anyone who got close enough. Pierce got worse. His hands never stopped moving. Rowing motion. Constant. Day and night. Awake and asleep. His arms would extend, pull, release. Over and over. Like he was still on that boat, still touching that corpse, still part of the rhythm. The Navy discharged him. Medical, gave him disability, sent him home, told his family he'd had a breakdown. Stress, combat fatigue. Take care of him. He'll get better with time. He didn't get better. July 14th, 1977. 1 month after we'd found the boat, Pierce disappeared. His parents said he'd gone for a walk down to the beach. Said he'd be back in an hour. He never came back. Search parties found his clothes on the sand, his wallet, his keys, everything, but no Pierce. Just his belongings sitting there like he'd carefully removed them and walked into the ocean. Coast Guard searched for 3 days. Found nothing. No body, no signs, no Pierce. He was just gone. Walked into the water and never came out. But fishermen reported something strange. A boat, small, wooden, old style, drifting 20 miles offshore. 7 men rowing. Perfect rhythm. Perfect synchronization. One of them looked fresh, newly dead. Still had color in his skin. Still looked almost alive. The Coast Guard went to investigate. By the time they got there, the boat was gone. Just disappeared. Like it had never been there. Like it only existed for people who were marked. For people who'd touched it. For people who were meant to row. The rest of us tried to move on, tried to forget, tried to put that morning behind us and focus on our careers, focus on our families, focus on staying alive and staying sane and staying away from the ocean. But it followed us, not literally, not physically, but in our heads, in our sleep, in our dreams. We all had the same nightmare. We're back on that boat, back with the corpses, and we're rowing, our hands stuck to the oars, our bodies moving on repeat, and we can't stop, can't rest, can't die properly, just row, forever. Splash, pull, lift, splash, pull, lift. Torres quit the Navy in 1979, moved to Arizona, desert, nowhere near water. He said he couldn't be near the ocean anymore. Couldn't hear waves without thinking about rowing. Couldn't see boats without seeing corpses. Couldn't swim without wondering if something would grab him, pull him under, make him part of the rhythm. Sullivan lasted until 1981. Then he started sleepwalking. His wife said he'd get out of bed at night, go to the garage, sit in a chair, and make rowing motions for hours, until dawn. Then he'd wake up, exhausted, his arms aching, his hands blistered, like he'd actually been rowing, like he'd spent the night on a boat instead of in his garage. He checked himself into a hospital, psychiatric ward, said he was being called, said he could hear the ocean, even though he was hundreds of miles inland. Said 7 men were rowing and they needed an 8th, needed completion, needed someone to even out the rhythm. Make it 4 on each side, make it perfect, make it eternal. They medicated him, kept him sedated, tried to quiet the voices. Didn't work. He kept rowing, in his sleep, in his room, sitting on his bed making the motions. Left, right, pull, release. October 1981. Sullivan disappeared from the hospital. Security footage showed him walking out. Not escaping, just walking, like he had permission, like he was expected somewhere. He walked through locked doors, through staff, through security. Nobody stopped him. Nobody saw him. He just walked out and kept walking. They found him 3 days later, on a beach in California, sitting in the sand, hands moving, rowing, eyes open but not seeing, dead for at least 2 days. But his hands kept moving, kept rowing. Even after his heart stopped, even after his lungs quit, his muscles continued, his body performed. The rhythm didn't end. The coroner said it was impossible. Said dead bodies don't move, don't continue tasks, don't keep working. But the video they took before moving the body showed it. Sullivan, dead, hands moving, rowing air, rowing nothing, rowing forever. 3 more of us died over the next decade. Each death more impossible than the last. Each one proving that whatever we'd encountered in 1977 wasn't finished, wasn't satisfied, wasn't going to stop until all 8 of us were rowing. Martinez died in 1985, 8 years after the incident. He'd been doing okay, living in Florida, working as an EMT, married, 2 kids, normal life, normal job. He thought he'd escaped, thought distance and time had saved him. His wife said he'd been having nightmares, same dream every night. He's on a boat, rowing, can't stop, can't let go of the oars. His hands are fused to the wood. His body won't obey commands. And behind him, all around him, dead men rowing, corpses performing tasks, bodies that forgot to stop when life ended. She said he started moving his arms in his sleep, rowing motions, left, right, pull, release, for hours, all night, every night. His shoulders would work, his back would flex, like he was actually pulling oars, like he was actually moving a boat through water even though he was in bed hundreds of miles from any ocean. May 14th, 1985. He went fishing, alone, early morning, rented a small motorboat, told his wife he'd be back by noon, needed to clear his head, needed to be on the water one more time. She didn't understand why. Didn't know about 1977, didn't know about the dead crew, didn't know about the infection growing in him for 8 years, growing slow, patient, inevitable. Coast Guard found the boat at sunset, engine off, drifting, Martinez sitting in the stern, hands on oars, except the boat didn't have oars. It was a motorboat. No oars, no rowing equipment. But Martinez had oars, old wooden oars. Where he'd gotten them, nobody knew. Where they'd come from, nobody could explain. They were just there, in his hands, being moved, being pulled, being used. And Martinez was dead. Had been dead for hours. Heart attack, massive coronary. Died instantly. Probably didn't feel anything. Just stopped living mid-pull, and that was the end of Martinez the man. But not the end of Martinez the rower, because his body was still moving, still rowing, still pulling those impossible oars through air, through nothing, through the phantom water that only dead rowers can see. The water that calls, the water that infected us, the water that takes you home. The Coast Guard tried to stop him, tried to take the oars, couldn't. His hands had fused to them, skin bonded to wood, like the oars were part of him now, like they'd grown from his palms, like 8 years of waiting had finally transformed him into what he was always meant to be. A rower, a corpse that rose, a body in service to rhythm instead of life. They had to cut his hands off to remove the oars, at the wrist, bone saw. Medical examiner did it. Said it was the only way. His hands stayed gripped even after severing, even disconnected from his body. His fingers stayed clenched. His palms stayed bonded. Like death and dismemberment were just minor setbacks in a task that would continue regardless. Brown died 4 years later. 1989. 12 years after the boat. He'd moved to Colorado after leaving the Navy. Mountains, altitude, nowhere near water. He thought terrain would protect him. Thought getting away from the ocean meant getting away from what we'd seen, from what had marked us. It didn't. His girlfriend said he'd become obsessed with rowing machines, bought 3 of them, set them up in his garage, would spend hours on them, rowing, never stopping, never resting, just pulling, releasing, pulling, releasing. Working his body into exhaustion and then beyond exhaustion into something mechanical, something that didn't need rest or food or sleep, just needed to row. "I have to stay in practice," he told her. "Have to keep the rhythm, have to maintain the motion. If I stop, if I break the pattern, something bad will happen. something worse than death, something that makes death look like mercy. She thought he was having a breakdown, suggested therapy, medication, selling the rowing machines, finding a different hobby, something less consuming, something that let him sleep at night instead of rowing until dawn. He refused, said he couldn't stop, said the motion was part of him now, said if he stopped rowing, the boat would come, the dead crew would come for him, take him, make him join them, make him row for real instead of on machines, make him part of the rhythm that never ends. October 31st, 1989. Halloween. He disappeared from his house. His girlfriend woke up at 3 a.m., heard the garage door open, heard footsteps, called his name. No answer. She got up, looked outside. Brown was walking down the street. Slow, deliberate, not running, not escaping, just walking toward something invisible, following something only he could see, answering a call only he could hear. She followed him, called police. They searched, found nothing that night. Brown was gone, vanished into the Colorado darkness like he'd never existed, like the mountains had swallowed him, like the earth had opened up and taken him down to where the water was, down to where the boat waited, down to where dead crews row in darkness. They found him 3 days later, November 3rd, in a reservoir, 30 miles from his house, sitting in the water, waist deep, hands moving, rowing air, rowing nothing, rowing forever. Dead for at least 2 days based on body temperature, based on decomposition, based on the way his skin had started to separate, the way his eyes had filmed over, the way death had claimed him and then been ignored, because he was still rowing, still moving, his arms extended, pulled back, extended, pulled back, over and over, mechanical, precise, inhuman. His body half submerged but functional, his heart stopped but irrelevant, his brain dead but unnecessary, because whatever moved him didn't need a brain, didn't need a heart, didn't need life, just the pattern, just the motion, just the rhythm. Foster died last, 1993, 16 years after the incident. 4 years after Brown, he'd been the strongest, the most resistant, the one who seemed most likely to survive, to break the pattern, to escape. He'd done everything right, moved inland, avoided water, avoided boats, avoided anything that reminded him of 1977, worked construction, physical labor, hard work that exhausted you so completely you couldn't dream, couldn't think, couldn't remember, just worked and slept and worked again. But the rhythm found him anyway. His co-workers said he'd started moving strangely, on job sites, building houses. His arms would move in patterns that didn't match the work. He'd be hammering and his body would sway, left, right, forward, back, like he was on a boat instead of solid ground, like the earth beneath him was water, like gravity itself had become oceanic. They joked about it, called him the sailor, asked if he was seasick, asked if he needed his land legs back. He laughed along, played the part, but his eyes said he knew, said he understood, said the boat was coming and nothing could stop it. July 4th, 1993, Independence Day. Foster spent it drowning in rhythm, in motion, in the tyranny of patterns that don't end. He was at a barbecue. 4th of July celebration, friends, family, food, fireworks, normal American holiday. He was grilling, standing at the barbecue, flipping burgers. Then he stopped, just froze. Spatula in hand, eyes on the grill, body rigid. Someone asked if he was okay. He didn't answer, just stood there staring, seeing something no one else could see. Then he walked toward the pool, his friend's backyard pool, 12 feet deep, chlorinated, clean. Nothing special, nothing dangerous, just a pool. But Foster walked toward it like it was the ocean, like it was the Atlantic, like it was 1977 and the boat was waiting and he'd finally been called. People shouted, tried to stop him. He walked through them. Didn't see anyone, didn't hear anyone, just walked, got to the pool edge, didn't pause, didn't hesitate, just stepped off. Into the water, into the deep, into the place where rowers go. He sank straight down, didn't swim, didn't struggle, just sank. His friends jumped in after him, pulled him out, started CPR, called 911. Paramedics came, worked on him, couldn't revive him, gone, drowned in a backyard pool at a 4th of July barbecue. But his arms were moving, even on the deck, even with paramedics working on him. His arms kept moving, left, right, pull, release, rowing air, rowing concrete, rowing memory. His body refusing to accept that drowning meant stopping, that death meant the end, that 16 years of waiting were finally over. The paramedics included it in their report. Patient deceased, cause, drowning, anomaly, continued post-mortem movement of upper extremities, rhythmic, repetitive, resembling rowing motion, ceased after approximately 47 minutes. 47 minutes. Foster rowed for 47 minutes after his heart stopped, after his lungs stopped, after his brain stopped. 47 minutes of pure muscle memory, pure rhythm, pure pattern continuing despite every biological reason it should stop. And when it finally ceased, when the motion finally broke, his hands were clenched, fists closed around invisible oars, grip so tight they had to break his fingers to straighten them, had to crack the bones, had to force his body into death position because even in death he was trying to row, trying to pull, trying to complete the motion one more time. That leaves me and Webb, 2 SEALs out of 8, 2 survivors who saw the boat and didn't touch it, who watched from a distance, who stayed in the Zodiac, who kept their hands to themselves. But we're not safe. Not really, because we saw it. We know it exists, and it knows we know. And once you've seen the boat, once you've seen the dead crew rowing, you're marked, you're tagged, you're added to a list that never gets shorter, only longer. Webb calls me sometimes, late at night, can't sleep, says he hears rowing, says he hears oars in water, splash, pull, lift, splash, pull, lift, says it's getting louder, says it's getting closer, says one day he'll wake up and be on that boat, be part of that crew, be rowing with the others, forever. I hear it too, not in my ears, in my head, in my bones, in the rhythm of my heartbeat. Left, right, pull, release. A pattern I can't escape, a motion I can't stop, a call I can't refuse forever. Last week I went to the beach. Don't know why, hadn't been near water in years, but something pulled me, something called, something said it was time to check, time to see, time to know if the boat was still out there. I stood on the sand, looked at the horizon, and I saw it. Small, distant, but unmistakable. A rowboat, wooden, old. 7 men rowing, perfect rhythm, perfect synchronization, and 1 empty seat, 1 oar waiting, 1 space that needed filling. They saw me. I know they saw me, because they stopped rowing, all 7, first time in 47 years, first time since 1977. They stopped, looked at me, raised their oars, waved, inviting me, welcoming me, telling me it was time. Time to complete the crew. Time to make it 8. Time to row with my brothers. Time to join the rhythm that never ends. I walked into the water. Don't remember deciding to. Don't remember choosing. Just walked. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. The water was cold. Wrong cold. Dead cold. The kind that comes from depths that never see sun. I was waist deep when Webb tackled me, dragged me back, screaming, telling me to stop, telling me not to go, telling me the boat wasn't real, wasn't worth it, wasn't the answer. But it is real. I saw it. The crew saw me. And that empty seat is waiting. Has been waiting since Pierce filled the 7th spot. Has been waiting for 47 years for one more rower, one more body, one more set of hands to complete the rhythm, to make it perfect, to make it eternal. I'm writing this because I don't think I can fight it much longer. The call is too strong, the rhythm is too perfect, the empty seat is too inviting, and my hands won't stop moving. Left, right, pull, release. Even now, even as I type. My shoulders sway, my arms extend, my body remembers how to row even though I never learned, even though I never took that seat, even though I stayed in the Zodiac. But maybe I didn't stay. Maybe when Pierce touched that corpse, we all touched it, all got infected, all got marked. And it's just taking its time, collecting us one by one, over decades instead of days, making us wait, making us suffer, making us know exactly what's coming. If you're reading this, if you're military, if you're Navy, if you ever find a boat with a dead crew rowing, don't approach, don't investigate, don't try to help. And for God's sake, don't touch them. Don't touch the boat. Don't touch the oars. Don't touch anything. Because the rhythm is contagious. The motion is infectious. And once you're part of it, you never stop. You row until you die. And then you row forever. I can see the boat from my window now. It's getting closer, coming to shore, coming for me. 7 rowers, 1 empty seat, oars raised, waiting, patient, eternal. Webb called, said he sees it too, said it's outside his house in Seattle, said he's going to walk to it, said he can't fight anymore, said the rhythm is too strong, said he'll see me on the boat, on the water, in the motion that never ends. I think he's right. I think we're both going. Tonight, tomorrow, soon. The exact time doesn't matter. The result is the same. We'll row. We'll move. We'll join the crew that's been incomplete for 47 years. We'll make it 8 again. We'll complete the rhythm. We'll become part of the pattern that started long before 1977. That started long before humans had boats. That started when the first person looked at water and thought about crossing it, thought about moving through it, thought about rowing. The boat is at the beach now. I can see it from here. 7 men, 7 corpses, 7 eternal rowers, and 1 empty seat with my name on it. Not literally, but I know it's mine. Know I was always meant to sit there. Know the years between 1977 and now were just delay, just postponement. Just time to understand what's coming, what's been coming since the moment we found that boat, since the moment we saw the dead crew rowing, since the moment we knew something was wrong but looked anyway. I'm walking to it now, typing on my phone as I walk. One last message, one last warning, one last testimony before I take my seat, before I pick up the oar, before I join the rhythm that never ends. The sand is cold. The water is colder. I'm walking in, knee-deep, waist-deep. The boat is right there, 10 feet away. The crew is watching, waiting, reaching out, offering the oar, offering the seat, offering membership in something eternal, something beyond death, something that rose forever. My hand is on the boat now, on the wood. It's cold and wet and wrong and perfect. I'm climbing in, taking my seat, the 8th seat, the final seat, the seat that completes the crew and perfects the rhythm and makes us whole. The oar is in my hands, heavy, solid, real, more real than anything I've touched in 47 years. My hands fit perfectly, like they were made for this, like they've always been meant for this. Like this moment was inevitable since birth. The crew is rowing again, and I'm rowing with them, left, right, pull, release. The motion is perfect. The rhythm is eternal. I'm home, finally. After 47 years of running, of hiding, of pretending I wasn't marked, I'm home, and I'm never stopping. I'm never